So I'm not going to cover off on detail on all these topics today. What I am going to cover off on is how some of these key concepts bring themselves to light from within the sales order capability of Business Central. So we're going to start with creating a sales order, uh, getting information for the customer, account info, what their prior sales and credit information looks like, to what items are we going to put on the order? How do they get priced? What's their availability? Are they lot or serial tracked? Do we want to reserve these? And then finally, on posting that sales order, now we're not going to dive into warehouse management here, but we're going to talk about the order confirmation, the ship and invoice process, and then what a posted sales invoice looks like at the end of the day. So with that, let's move into Business Central. And as you can see here, I am on the role page for Business Central. It gives me a ton of information here. As I scroll down this role page, and you can see things on here like sales quotes and orders and purchase quotes, tiles along the way here depicting what I have in terms of quotes and orders and purchase orders and things like that, to other analytics that come into play, like on the GL side or my trial balance or even Power BI that comes into play here. But let's keep it simple here for the next 10 minutes or so. And let's start off with sales orders. So I have a list of my sales orders here. And I think what we'll do for today is I'm going to hide the information pane here because you can see as I hover over a sales order, and I can see some key information from that sales order, like the price, um, what's the total amount, what's been shipped yet or not, has anything been shipped, whether it's open or released, and then other information here detailing the customer specs for that, and also, uh, you know, prior credit limits, overdue amounts, and those sort of things, without even clicking into the order. So I'm going to hide that field, hide that back pane, and let's start a brand new sales order. Now, there's many different ways the sales orders can come in. They can come in. You can actually surface and create a sales order right from within Outlook with Business Central. They could come in via a Shopify connector to a web portal that you've got. But let's start from scratch here, and I am going to begin with entering in a customer. So I'm going to key in Pat. And if I do the drop down, it'll identify and point me to the records that have Pat in the name. I'm going to pick Pat Bostic Enterprises here and click OK. And so it's going to add that customer now to the sales order. And you'll see here that as I add that customer in, I've got things going on here. Like it's telling me I've already got one sales quote out there for the customer. I have four ongoing sales orders for this customer, as well as other key account information. Uh, I don't have any balances outstanding at this point, but I can see all that from here if I do. Again, I'm going to hide that pane so I get a little bit more real estate. So the next thing we want to do here is we want to um, drive right into adding a customer or an item for this customer sales order. So the different things that I can add here from an item level, I can add an item, a resource, it could be a fixed asset, maybe it's a miscellaneous charge. All those things can be added here. I am going to add an item, and we'll take the pit replica helmet as an example. And I'm going to order one of these. So as I key in one, you can see the price has changed, and we'll get into this in a little bit um, on how that pricing changed, because I do have unique pricing set up for that customer, and it comes in with a special price and also a discount for that line item because they might be purchasing through a special program or something like that that allows me to give a special price and a discount uh, to Hatbostic Enterprises. Now that we have that, and I think one of the things you can see here on the screen, there's a lot of fields on here, but that doesn't mean that you have to use all those fields. We can set up quick entry to have it only go to the fields on the line that you need to fill in, or we can come in here to personalization and maybe I would like to add a new field to the item line, and I can pick anyone that I would like to put in here and drag and drop it over here. Um, so let's move over let's move reservation over there. So now I've added the reserve code in here. Consequently, I can also hide. So I'm going to hide the variant code because I'm not working here with an item that's concerned about variance. I could also drag and drop the columns to wherever I want them on the form. So you can see I do have total control over how I would like to um, make my form look for easy entry. So I've entered an item and a quantity. This happens to be an inventory item. But one of the things that I can also do here is, let's say that I am looking to add an item that might be a catalog item from a vendor or a catalog item, for go to a new line here. And I'm going to pick catalog items because catalog items are items that I might buy from a vendor for a customer, but I don't necessarily stock them. And so, for instance, here, if I pick we'll pick the straight back chair as an example. Um, actually, let's pick the Callaway driver. So that now adds that to the order where I can come in and put in a quantity. It's got the price in there. It's also added it as an inventory item in my item master. Um, so we can go and look at that at another point in time. But it's also, telling me, how do I want to handle reservations? I can set the system up to always reserve or optional or never, depends on your unique requirements. And it might be by customer that you elect to do that. I can also take a look at item availability. So maybe I come in here to my line, I take a look at item availability because I want to see where I have this, if I have it in stock anywhere. And I can see here when I come into the item availability that I do not have this item in stock anywhere. So that's going to be an issue that I'm going to have to deal with at some point. And I checked across all the different warehouses, but when I look at availability, I can look at it by warehouse. I can look at it by variant. I could look at it by period. Um, and again, I could see what I would have available coming in from PO in a day, week, month, quarter basis, and I can look at it as either net change or balance. So very powerful tools there for looking at item availability. So one of the things that we also would want to be able to do here would be based on availability. Maybe we want to come in here and calculate either available to promise or capable to promise for that line item to give me a good accurate ship date. Now, I don't have anything on order. I don't have anything in there, but if I did, and I come in here now and I click available to promise, it will come in and based on what I've already got out there in terms of requirements and lead time and all that come into play, it will calculate a requested ship and delivery date for me. So that can be put right on the sales order. That'll automatically be put right on the sales order line, as you can see there. I also have the ability where I can do a drop ship. So for instance, on this item, if I did want to drop ship that, that means I'm actually going to create a purchase order tied to this sales order line. The ship to address on the purchase order will be the actual customer at Bostic Enterprises. And so when the vendor gets the PO, he'll know that he needs to deliver at two Pat Bostic Enterprises. It doesn't come to our company here, um, who we're the selling company. Um, so yeah, we can do a drop ship, and we could also do a special order where, in this case, where it's going to be drop shipped by the vendor to the customer, a special order does create another PO, but it also comes to us here at Cronus Solutions. And we then can bring that into our warehouse, and maybe we immediately want to cross dock it for immediate shipment out. So two different ways to handle that. So drop ship and special order. Now, I happen to have a message up here that the available inventory for this item, PJB 100, is lower than the quantity entered at this location. So Business Central is really great with giving you a ton of information. So I know I don't have it in stock. I may not want to wait until I run MRP. I may want to create a purchase order right now to satisfy my lack of availability of that item. So I can do that right from within the sales order by creating a PO, and ties me to the vendor for that item. At this point, I have created a purchase order to satisfy the demand for the Rogue ST driver. So right from within Business Central, we are getting indications and made aware of how we need to source the product. Now, coming back here to our pit replica helmet, we indicated that, hey, this came in with a special price. I'm going to open up my info pane here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the item number for the pit football helmet, and it opens up the item card. So when I click on, I can see here, I've got pricing and sales that I've got existing prices and discounts for. And if I click on that, you can see here that I have set up a special discount for this customer at Bostic Enterprises, where if they buy a minimum of one ending 12/31/2022, they get a 10% discount. On top of that, they also are a candidate for a special price rather than $300 for the club. It's They're going to pay $275 for the club. So when we go back and we look, and I can have as many combinations of pricing and discounts for items and customers that I can think of in Business Central. So that is where the pricing came from on the line here of 275, and then less a discount coming down to $247.50. Okay. Um, One of the other things too is I have this coded here as serialized inside the item description. But basically what I'm saying here is we handle full lot and serial number capability within Business Central. And that serial number can be defined to either create automatically or I key it in. It can be required at different points throughout the supply chain. Maybe it's when I receive it, maybe it's only when I ship it. Um, but that serial number now is going to be part of this transaction. And I really can't ship this order until I come in here and I actually do something with the serial number. So if I come in here to related and I come into item tracking lines, this is telling me I don't have a serial number assigned to this yet, but let's come in and assign a serial number. I want to create one of them. If I had multiple quantities on the line, maybe two, three, four, five, it would create the appropriate number of serial numbers to go with that. And I'm going to say yes, create a new serial number information card from this. So I click OK. A serial number has now been created and assigned to this line item on the sales order, and now it would be ready to be able to ship because it's got a serial number attached. Now, to give you an idea of what a uh, serial number card looks like, let's go into the tracking codes. Now, I picked the tracking code for this item, the serial number only, and only for sales tracking. But what does this look like? And I talked about the different ways that it can be surfaced throughout the supply chain. So I only have it here now for sales number tracking on the outbound and on inbound. But I could do it for any, if I needed to do inventory adjustments, I can require a serial number. If it's going to be on receipt of product, I can require a serial number. And you can see how that uh, setup applies to that. So now that we have that set up, we've seen the serial attached to the item card. We've auto assigned it. The next thing I would like to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to send a, maybe want to print a confirmation or attach it as a PDF to email directly to my customer. And I can do that with the email confirmation. But let's take a look at what the actual confirmation would look like. And this is a PDF version of the confirmation I would automatically email from the sales order to my customer for what he is purchasing here, the helmet and the driver. I can also print a pick list from here. Uh, and again, we talked about, the pick instruction is going to be very similar. It's just going to be coming out to the warehouse to what are they picked and shipped. Obviously, this process can be automated with more warehousing features turned on and even initiate barcoding for the picking of the products in the warehouse. This is meant to be manually filled in and entered in, which is fine. We're just talking about basic functionality here right now. So we have that ready to go. I'm actually now going to post this sales order because it's ready to be shipped. I know we have it. We're going to ship it out. I come into my post and I can pick whether I'm just going to ship the order, whether I'm just going to invoice it or ship and invoice. And I'm going to select that option for ship and invoice. At this point, oh, I have an error on the tax code that I need to add in here. So it's nice enough to tell me that. And I would typically have that applied right to the item and the customer so it defaults in. But it's nice how the system lets me know what I need to do. So now I'm posting it. It's going to ship the product and it's going to actually create a sales invoice. So let's go in and take a look at that sales invoice and what that looks like. I can see here now there's my invoice that has gone out to the customer. Um, a total here of $796.50. If I had any attachments on that invoice, they would appear here as well. But then different things that I can do is maybe I wanted to track the package with it, look at the statistics of the order. So again, price, cost, my profit margin, um, all the things that are important for me, and even the tax line breakdown of where tax amounts are going to be going with the order. Now, again, on the that's the sales invoice. Let's move quickly over here to the customer table just to finish up. And I'm going to pick the Pat Bostic Enterprises here. And again, you can see all the information that I've got here. My posted sales invoices have been updated from 6 to 7 with the last one that we did. If I come into the actual customer tab and open that up, I can always take a look at, let's say we want to take a look at the statement or any of the documents or the orders that are attached with this customer. They're all held right here. Um, I can come into the customer tab here and I can take a look at all the ledger entries that have happened and are related to this customer. So these are all the different invoices that I've generated. And I could actually drill into each one of these and actually drill back to the actual invoice document that was created with Business Central. Anytime I click on a blue highlighted amount, it takes me to the detail. And so here I can actually take a look at the detail, drive into even more of the detail entries that have happened for that invoice. So I see I've got 7 GL entries that happened because of that one invoice. And these are the different accounts that got posted to within Business Central for that. So I, again, drill down from summary right down to the detail and actually the sourcing document within Business Central. The last piece here on a customer record, if I go into the Navigate tab, again, we looked at some of the things that we could do here with the quotes and the orders. Um, I've got different actions that I can take with the customer if I want to do any kind of, register payments for them. I can do it right from the customer card, as also I can do it from a payment journal. I've got things that are happening here with maybe I want to take a look at customer contacts. So that's going to be another way that I can come in here and I can look at who the contacts are for Pat Bostic Enterprises. Maybe I want to come in and take a look at the history of what has happened with Pat Bostic Enterprises and anything that I would have in here um, regarding that customer or that contact would show up under log entries for. Now, I just don't have any information. I haven't called them or emailed them or things like that. But that would appear here through the basic relationship management within Business Central. So, in closing, again, just recapping what we went through, we talked about distribution highlights in Business Central that surfaced from within the sales order itself. We touched on pricing, we touched on customers, we touched on the item, we touched on warehouse locations, we touched on looking at item availability, how to immediately source an item for procurement from within a sales order line, whether they were drop shipped or special, whether they were catalog items that we don't stock and that we do still want to sell. So, touching the surface of Business Central at a very high level. I hope this was beneficial today. We will have other series of videos coming out that touch on more detail, like warehouse management or procurement within Business Central. But I want to thank you for your time. And any questions, please reach out. Thanks again. Have a great day.